So I was sitting here working on this book that I'm writing, and then I just got like the feeling to get on and talk to you for a little minute about the last post that I just made about depression and suicide. Okay, this has been a topic that has been in my list of topics for a while, and I've just been busy doing other things, but it's been something that I wanted to talk about, and now is the best time as any, because as you know, around the holidays, the rate of suicide goes up. A lot of that is related to depression. It's related to the fact of feeling the loss of someone who's on the other side. It's related to some people not being able to provide what they want to provide during the holidays. And there's so many reasons why the rate of suicide goes up around the holidays. But a lot of times it's a feeling of disconnection and a feeling of pain. However, it's not always the case. So like my previous post said, anytime we hear about a suicide, we automatically assume that this person was severely depressed. Check on your loved ones. Why didn't anyone check on him? Or we should have checked on him more or her more, because they were in pain and they were hurting and nobody knew. This is not always the case. So many times in my practice, I see people who are happy. They are happy. They are happy by all standards. They are excited about life. They are the people who bring sunshine to the party. They are light. Yet they have this battle going on inside of them. And everybody feels like that battle is depression. They're sad. They're straddling two sides of the fence. They're happy, but they're not really happy. No, the battle is spiritual, okay? The battle is spiritual. Spiritual warfare is real. I don't know what that term means to you, but look it up and get an understanding of what it means to you, because it is real. You can be a very happy individual who is not depressed, who has no mental health diagnoses by Western standards. There's nothing that we can say this person has, but this person is having suicidal thoughts. Let me explain why that can happen. It is from not being plugged in, okay? That is what being grounded and all of that means. It means that you are plugged in into this earth, and that you recognize my time here on earth actually matters. I have a reason and a purpose to be here. But what happens is sometimes we dive into our spiritual journey and this world starts to seem weird. It starts to not make sense. It starts to feel like, what is the point of all of this? The government is lying to me. This person is lying to me. Life is not the way, all the conspiracy theories and all the things that we're diving in. This, don't do this, and don't do this, and don't eat that, and don't, all the things that we're diving in to enhance our lives can essentially cause us to be more disconnected, where we start to feel like, what am I doing this for? It happens so many times, and that is a spiritual battle. That's not necessarily a quote-unquote mental battle per se. That's not necessarily depression. That's a battle between you trying to figure out what your purpose is. That's not depression when you're trying to figure out what your purpose is and why you're here on earth. That is I really don't have a term for it, but it happens to a lot of people. And because we don't have a term for it, a lot of times we do put it in a category of depression. But somebody can be extremely content with who they are, extremely content with what they have in this life, but still ponder, what is this life for? Is there anything outside of the earth? Is there anything in the clouds? Is there anything outside of this right here? Because there is. And when you go so deep in your journey, you start to realize that there is. So if you are an inquisitive person, then you can get into a situation where you want to see. And that's the simplest way to explain it. Is I have talked to so many people who just want to see. They're not sad. They want to see what's next. And we often say we live forever. The spirit lives on. So then they question, well, why do I have to do this part? Let me just go on to the next part of this life. So that is something that can be very dangerous, because the spiritual journey is eye-opening. And if you are not aware that you must be grounded while you are diving into your understanding of life, you might get to a point where it hits you in the face, where you start to feel like, my job is stupid, my boss is stupid, everybody around me just doesn't get it. Everything that you're hearing about who we should be and what we should be doing on this earth, and who we were before we became who we are, all of that can throw you off. And it's really a spiritual battle. So while you're on the spiritual journey, you have to make sure that you don't get caught up in a spiritual battle. And the way to counteract that is to be connected with somebody. We all say that, I'm on my self-healing journey. Yes, you need a self-healing journey. I'm on my spiritual journey. It looks like loneliness. The spiritual awakening looks like loneliness. That's the way that we describe it a lot of times. But when it's loneliness, it doesn't mean that you're not connected. It just means that you recognize that those that you were connected with might not be on the same path as you. It does not mean that you sit in the dark alone learning about spirituality, what God means to you or what spirit means to you, and you do all this alone in the darkness. That can be dangerous. Okay, so we have to be careful, and we have to be connected. We have to talk to someone. The main thing that I wanted to say is that when you do get these feelings of what's the point of it all, you need to talk to someone, because any type of energy that's around you that's causing you to feel that way, like not yourself, it acts differently when you expose it. Like, you have to snitch on the situation. Hey, y'all, I'm feeling this type of way. Like, what's the point of going to work? What's the point of doing any of this? Because, this world doesn't even matter. It's in a simulation. And if you're feeling that, you need to talk to somebody about it, so that these energies, especially if they are negative energies, because basically that's how negative energy works. It gets into your mind. It gets into your head and makes you start to question yourself, question things. But these energies act different when you snitch on them and you tell somebody and you go for help and you say, this is how I'm feeling. I don't feel sad, but I just feel like, I'm being lied to. My eyes are open and life is much more than I was taught. You need to talk to somebody about that, because it opens up the door to what might be going on with you. It opens up the door to any energies that might be, picking at you, because that's what negative energy does. Whatever term you want to use, the devil, entities, that's what it does. It picks at you and it gets in your head, and then all of a sudden you're questioning who you are and the meaning of life, and why am I here? Let me just get greater knowledge and and go see what's going on. Whatever you believe in, it's kind of like the story in the Bible of Adam and Eve, and they were fine and happy. They weren't depressed when they wanted more knowledge and they wanted to, open up their minds to see what else was out there outside of the garden. It depends on what you believe in. Find your story that resonates with you, that makes it make sense. But that story, for those who have heard that story and it makes sense to them, that's essentially what happens to a lot of people. They are not sad. They just realize that there's more outside of here, and that negative energy is like, yeah, it is. Go see, go see, go see. And then we end up with, unfortunately, a high rate of suicide. So please, please, please. And I'm not saying that's always why suicide happens. That's just one of the reasons. And we always feel like we missed the depression. You might not have missed the depression. Talk to your friend that seems extremely happy, and that's the ray of sunlight, and that is always wearing yellow and talking to you about the beauty in life. Talk to that person about if they are connected. Make sure they feel like they need to be here for the amount of time that they're supposed to be here, because a lot of times those are the ones that we do miss, and it's not because they were depressed. We as the loved ones missed it because they weren't depressed. They were just inquisitive, digging people who wanted to know more. Okay, so I'll try not to make this video too long. I could go on and on because I feel so passionate about this, but yes, thank you for being here, and thanks for listening, and please check on your happy friends.